Hello everyone, how you going, and welcome back to OSHA, the place where what can I say, it's basically just what not to do's brother. You know, you're just gonna see these people just going about their job, so to say, and just doing it completely the wrong way. And so really, as well as being not what to do, it's just an educational sub. So anyway, let's jump straight into it and see just what we can learn, I guess. So then starting right off with, it ain't going anywhere. What the hell is this for? I don't even know if it was last month or whatever, but we literally seen a house being supported by a bottle jack before. I mean, last time they were actually kind of lifting an entire house up or an entire building, but at least we can see that it certainly isn't kind of an isolated incident. There were apparently people are going around just doing this all over the place. I mean, in saying that, I'm almost a little bit more concerned with this one because that is a lot of steel work that is obviously quite new. And so is this some kind of new build? Or I mean, I guess also in terms of all those blocks, so they look very new as well. So it has to be some kind of new build. And so I guess in saying that, it just absolutely blows my mind that you're having a builder or whoever is actually just doing this and constructing this building, instead of going about it like that. I mean, I guess thinking about it, maybe the builder is just going, well, I don't know what we're going to be doing because the engineer just stuffed up some kind of measurements. They've built it to spec, but then they just go, well, we have to lift it up. I don't know. I guess that's actually a long way if they needed to lift it up that much. But either way, regardless of whose fault it is or why it happened, someone has just stuffed up somewhere along the way, because there is no way that a brand new building should need a bottle jack to kind of fix the problem. And to be honest, the more I look at it, the more I'm just thinking, well, that is just the most precarious looking bottle jack I feel as though I've ever seen. I feel as though the last people at least had it built up a little bit. Whereas with this one, they've just stacked it 5 high on randomly placed timbers, not kind of just overlapping them, not kind of just even jingering them or anything like that. Nah, just perfectly up, and it's on an angle, so it just might fall at any second. So I really hope that these people aren't just standing underneath this taking a photo, because oh man, this is one hell of a post to start off with if that is the case. And so to be honest, when you see things like this, there is no wonder that there are so many problems with so many new builds and buildings just in general, because well, I feel as though the sentence of the building needed a bottle jack to be completed, it just kind of sums up the entire situation there. And so look, I wish there was some just kind of registration where you would know if a bottle jack was used in the build process, because there is no way that I want to be going anywhere near a building that would needed a bottle jack to be completed, because yeah, it might work, but it really shouldn't need to. Advert I bumped on today: professionals but jeans and casual shoes, no harness and stretching the hose. Well, what can I say? The title summed it all up, but yep, that is one hell of a thing. Roof cleaning professionals near you. Find roof cleaning experts. I mean, yeah, there really isn't too much else to say, is there? Obviously, he's got his hard hat on, but just none of the kind of just general PPE that you would actually need on a roof. You know, a hard hat isn't going to help you if you fall off the roof, and there's certainly nothing above you to fall onto your head. And so it's almost as though they've gone to the minimum effort to try and look professional. You know, they're just slapping a hard hat and a pair of safety glasses, and then to the everyman, the common man, they just go, oh, look, they're wearing PPE, where really they should be wearing a harness, and especially not just kind of, I don't even know, that ankle just looks wrong in those shoes. Oh, but actually, even though he isn't wearing a harness, is this a little bit of a rope I can see in here? Oh my goodness, that is the most Bunnings little cord, just average, just not even called rope anymore. That is just basically, I don't even know what that counts as. It's basically just twine. And to be honest, this guy's probably just chucked it over the other side of the roof because he couldn't be bothered tying it or couldn't find anything to tie it onto. And of course, that could be a fair enough problem if the roof doesn't have anchors or anything like that, but surely you then have to kind of work out a solution, not just go, I'm sure I'll be fine, you know, water, tiles, what could go wrong? So look, at least we do have people like the person that posted this picture just to call out these kind of professionals, if you can even call them that anymore, because let's be honest, we aren't living in the 70s anymore or the 40s. You know, everyone in this day and age should actually just take care of themselves and should really just be fulfilling their duties in terms of safety. You know, he obviously does a good job. You know, you can see the difference between the wet tiles and where they're actually done already compared to the old tiles, and it looks pretty good. So at least, you know, in terms of that regard, they're actually half decent. But really, I don't care how many times you've done it and nothing has ever gone wrong. Really, though, probably the most dangerous cases, because people just get into such a false sense of security about the entire thing, they just think that it's never going to happen. And so then you just finally one day you have someone falling off a roof, and then their entire life has changed, and you go, well, I wish I didn't do that, and they can't take it back now, can I? If only I just had a harness on. Fall protection pin nearly worn through, almost cut intentionally. Guesses? Whoa, that is absolutely insane. Look at that 50% degradation just to that one little tiny pin. I mean, that pin wouldn't be rated to much as is. So for it to be suddenly just cut in half, well, really, like they said, just how the hell would that even happen in the first place? It definitely looks like some kind of angle grinder disc, but at the same time, that looks tiny. And in saying that, what the hell is up with the rest of the system? Like, why is there a carabiner, and what is it doing? And just, there is so many questions, because I feel as if the carabiner was actually put in place of the swivel. Yeah, it might not be able to turn anymore, but it's just going to be at least a little bit safer than a half cut through pin. But we'd love to know where you've actually discovered this, because if this is on the job site, or maybe it's just at home, like what kind of random positioning is this even in? Is it just kind of screwed into the piece of timber? We just have so many questions surrounding the entire situation here. Also, because even if you look at the webbing that is coming out of the fall arrest, it just looks all frayed and kind of webbed up. So I really don't think there is a single part of this entire system that is actually safe anymore. I mean, if nothing else, I'd love to know what year it was made, because because really, judging by what everything else we've got going on here, even though it could be 2 months old and someone just intentionally just making it, well, just be not working anymore, at the same time, I wouldn't put it past it to just be 20 years old or something like that and actually in decent condition, you know. I mean, yeah, it's got a couple of scratches on it and the pickup point's in a little bit of wear and tear, but really, if it wasn't for the webbing and kind of just cut through pin, you wouldn't really tell how old it is. But I just feel as though this thing has probably just been used at someone's house or just some random little place, and it is actually way older and just completely out of date. And so yeah, really, even though the title asked for guesses, it would only just be speculation. Like I said, there would be an absolutely tiny angle grinder to be able to get in there to make that cut, and really I don't even know how you would get in there to do that. And so really I don't know what would even be able to do that. It's not like rope's going to make that wear and tear like that, or I don't know, really I have no idea. How would you do such a thing? And also, I might be completely off here, but really it is obviously a tiny fall arrest considering it's only, I don't know, 100mm round, and so really they aren't even that expensive, you know, in terms of having to replace it on a job site or a boss just going, oh, I won't be able to afford that kind of safety equipment. No, you can probably buy a carabiner for the same price as it, and really I just still don't understand what that carabiner is even doing there. I mean, hey, maybe it's just there because, well, I guess kind of fair enough, but people aren't trusting the fall arrest anymore, so they kind of clip themselves into that, or I really have no idea, but it's certainly just none of this entire thing makes sense to me at all. And so as much as I would love to see a general overview about where this thing is actually located, is it just kind of, I don't know, a meter off the ground, so no wonder no one has used it or inspected or even changed it over in 50 years, but really I just have no idea how something has even got to that state in the first place. And so yeah, just always kind of check your stuff, because there is no way that anything should be used in that kind of condition or even anything close to that. An engineer made this. Whoa, that is actually incredibly creative in terms of I've never seen an electrical cable like that, and really I don't know why you would ever need such a thing. But hey, look, according to what a lot of people are taught, you know, you always trust the engineer, and so really this thing is fine to use. I mean, I guess it kind of just highlights the problem in terms of what I was saying with the first one of the bottle jack. You know, obviously there are a whole bunch of people out there that just don't really completely think things through, and so you end up with engineers making bottle jack buildings, and I don't know what to call this, but it's just an abomination right here. But no, like I said, I just have absolutely no idea what this would be used for, and I'm wondering if they are also kind of piggybackable, because then you would certainly have a problem. I mean, I guess you can kind of just make a nice easy circuit if you just piggyback them together, and especially if you kind of chuck the earth in there as well. But in saying that, you would certainly just want to have them all piggyback together before they even go anywhere near the wall. Not that this is even recommended in the first place, but just to kind of have an open, just, well, I don't know, just terminal like that. That is just insane. Surely everyone knows that you don't just have just open bits just out in the open like that. And also looking at them, even though I don't know, I can only assume that those things aren't designed for just mains current, and so like I said, I just have absolutely no idea what this would ever be used for, because I am fairly sure the only place I have ever seen those kind of connectors is on the back of a speaker, you know, just when you're kind of connecting it from an amp to a speaker, and so really they have no place just anywhere near just straight mains current. And so look, obviously whoever posted this photo hasn't actually outed the individual person that made this, but I can only assume even though they're an engineer, they certainly aren't an electrical engineer, because, well, unless they are some kind of just very kind of backwards electrical engineer, I certainly hope that they're not going around inspecting things like that. Because really, besides the fact that it looks very strange, I mean, I guess it would probably work down to a certain amount of current, but like I said, so many people are just kind of follow the rule that if that's what the engineer says to use, then that's what you use. So really, somebody's going to have at best a very nasty shock of their lives, and at worst, well, not going to kind of have that nasty shock of their life anymore. I mean, hey, I guess I do have to give credit where credit's due, because I have somehow managed, if that's what they're making and that's kind of the extent of their knowledge, somehow they have managed to get the terminals to line up with the right ones. I mean, really, white with white and green with green, you were only left with one. But to be honest, looking at this thing, I'm surprised that person didn't find a way to stuff that up as well. So yeah, please don't ever make anything like this, and really just maybe kind of just use a little bit of common sense in terms of just listening to your superiors. You know, we see too many posts on this sub where you just go, well, that's what the boss said, this is what the boss said to do, this is how the boss does it, and really, even when it's an engineer, you just have to go, hang on a second, no, surely not. Nothing wrong here. Oh, we've had a leveled up version of the person that put it on their roof. Look at that. There is no way that that is ever going to work. Like I say, with the person on their roof, at least they were still kind of somehow able to turn, even though it's just going to have to slide and kind of force its way around a corner, at least it would be able to turn. Whereas this one, oh man, unless you're going to be kind of removing or just opening your side doors, then really there is no way that you're going to be able to turn at all, unless you just have, I don't even know how it would work, but that is just incredible. To be honest, it just always makes me laugh that anyone gets this far before someone takes a photo of them, you know, or even just kind of tells them, no, stop doing what you're doing, you're not going to get very far, let alone out of the building. Because let's be honest, that is a hell of a lot of timber, and so it would have taken quite a while, because it's certainly not able to be forked on, so it would have taken quite a while just to load one at a time into the back of the car. And all that time we can just see on the left here that there were just people kind of hanging out, and this person just goes going, what the hell am I looking at here? But they didn't stop them, they just took a photo like every good OSHA Redditor does. And in saying that, it just makes me wonder what kind of person this is, because I certainly hope that they're not a DIY, because, well, if they're buying and loading timber like that, well, then I certainly don't want to see the rest of their house. Or maybe they're just kind of like the bottle jack people, you know, they just go, I'm sure it'll be fine, fine, something will figure itself out in the end, because I just cannot see how a person like this functions in day-to-day life if this is the kind of decisions that they are making. And also, I'm just looking at it, and that trailer is definitely high. There is no way that guy just having the same kind of branding on the side and the back. So given the entire situation there and how much timber you were getting, really, surely the easy way to do it would just be to get it delivered. You know, you don't have to worry about stacking all of it and then unstacking because there was no way you're getting home, and really it just would have been better for your car and just better in every sense, I guess. So look, I guess what can I say? Once again, we just have a perfectly educational post about what to do. Obviously, like I said, this person just took it up a notch compared to the last people, and so really we're just evolving. We're just kind of backwards a little bit, but hey, if it takes people a little bit longer to just kind of get the education in their brains, then that's what it is. But at least when we can actually see that this is the wrong way to go about doing things, and like I said, just get it delivered, please just give it delivered, because even though, as we've already discussed, there is no way they're going to be able to turn anywhere, but let's just say they figured that out and they somehow got on the road, I don't want any of that kind of flying off and hitting my car. You know, I can only imagine if that's how they're putting it in the car, it's certainly not being strapped down. And so yeah, it's just the entire situation is just wrong, and please don't do it, Mr. Standing next to the car, because, well, just for everyone's sake, just get it delivered. What can I say? There are reasons that sometimes things are just too hard for a person. I know it might blow your mind, but sometimes there are actually services available that just make everyone's life easier, and let alone just doing it the right way. So yeah. I work in a nature preserve. A lawnmower launched a rocket that shattered the greenhouse glasses door, so it mounted on the block in the greenhouse. Whoa, hang on a second. Obviously, it's a little bit hard to get a sense of scale, but that certainly doesn't look small. I mean, obviously, you know, that sign could be fairly big, and so it's a massive chunk of concrete. Like, how big is your lawnmower? It's just launching a massive chunk of concrete like that. But at least actually with this one, this is the first one where I can say that I don't even feel as though it's completely OSHA, because yeah, even though it might be just kind of a little bit of an incident, I don't feel as though it's just an unsafe practice. I mean, obviously the person maybe shouldn't have driven over concrete, and of course it would have been bad if someone was standing there, but really I feel as though the entire thing about this post is just how ironic it is. You know, everyone says, oh, don't be in a glass house and throw stones, and really obviously this person with the lawnmower just went, well, stuff that's saying, I'm just doing what I want. But no, I can only imagine just how much of a pain that would be, because really if you have a greenhouse, you want it to kind of be keeping it warm, and if you don't have a door, then all of the heat's just going to be going, well, I mean, I guess it doesn't have to say warm, but the entire greenhouse environment that this person has built up is going to literally just go straight out of the front door, because, well, there isn't one there anymore. So whether or not this person is protecting it from the heat, the snow, the rain, whatever it may be, it would certainly be along the lines of a well, that sucks kind of post, because obviously no one got injured, and so it's definitely good in that regard. And really, like I said, it's just kind of an accidental incident, not just kind of, I don't know, an engineer making a very, very dodgy cord. I mean, like I said, you certainly would not want to be getting in the way of its path that is taken out of the lawnmower, because that is one jagged piece of rock. So of course, this person is actually quite lucky that they weren't standing at the front door, but to be honest, I'm surprised it only smashed the front door. You know, I kind of would have thought that something, well, I think that is that large, just didn't continue on and just kind of go through the front door, go through the other side, and continue to smash someone else's window, because that is one hell of a thing. And so when it's launched off a lawnmower, my god, it would be like a cannonball coming at you. I mean, actually, I guess in saying that, they did say they worked in a nature preserve, and so I don't really know what that entails, but maybe you just have another greenhouse and another greenhouse, and so really you could have been so much worse. But I'm sure from now on they will certainly be watching out for rocks when you're riding on the lawnmower. And look, maybe I'm crazy, but perhaps you just want to do a little bit of a scour around, just kind of picking out all the rocks, and not kind of disturbing nature by any means, but definitely just going around removing these massive projectiles that a lawnmower needs to kind of run over to cut the grass. I mean, like I said, call me crazy, but I feel as though that might just be a decent idea to do, so you don't have to be, well, constantly replacing greenhouse doors. Scissor factory safety. Oh, well, this one is just a nice little break from traditional OSHA, isn't it? Here you go. You must be new here. That's Miss Crutchfield, and she's there to make sure nobody runs with scissors. Wow, I mean, certainly makes sense. You know, you should definitely never be running with scissors, and sometimes on the job site, people just get a little bit kind of crazy and they're rushing and they just need to get somewhere. But no, everyone should know, and everyone is brought up with it. You never run with scissors, and even, you know, you hold them like this. This lady's doing the perfect job. I mean, maybe that's why she's got a clipboard, because she is one of the senior members. She follows all the rules. I mean, of course, Miss Crutchfield is actually the head honcho of the entire operation. She even does quality check from up there. She just gets out of binoculars and just kind of inspects every single pair of scissors that goes out the door. But there is certainly no way that anyone could be ever running in this thing. You know, she's got super hearing binoculars, and she just immediately takes you out. And so you are certainly not going to be having a good time. And I don't even want to think about what happens if you do it twice. But no, hey, like I said, this is just a beautiful break from the traditional scary OSHA posts that we see all the time. I mean, actually, if we do want to pick it apart, I certainly feel as though Miss Crutchfield needs a little bit of a lap belt, or at least a harness or some kind of fall rest, because that is a very high chair. So for her to be climbing up that ladder all that way and just be sitting up there all day, I certainly don't feel as though that's very safe. What if she just falls out? But look, I guess in that case, the entire thing could just be taken as an OSHA comment, because obviously she is meant to be the safe one around town, but really she isn't actually being safe herself. And so, hey, I guess it just kind of comes back to the fact that what I said before, you know, with bosses and doing things and saying things and do what I say and not what I do. Because let's be honest, even though you might have a boss that thinks they're kind of sitting on the top of an umpire's chair like that, at the same time, they really should not be, because they don't know what they're talking about half the time, and are also just usually the most dangerous people to be around, or even just for themselves. And so look, even though I did say that this one was just a nice little break, at the same time, if you actually look into it a little bit deeper, it is definitely an OSHA post, because Mrs. Crutchfield is just definitely not doing her job. So maybe that's something that we don't see. Maybe there's actually just off to the right, you know, it wasn't even drawn or included, but there was just a person sitting up there in an even taller umpire's chair that is just kind of watching to make sure that she doesn't fall off. Wear PPE to me when I was a kid. I don't need protection, my dad now. Oh, well, isn't this just one of the most common stories you have ever heard? Look at that. The fact that he's grinding, you know, like you see so many people that don't wear ear protection or long sleeves, but I just never even understand how people don't even worry about their eyes. Surely out of everything you care about your eyes, because even though it all matters and you should really be wearing full PPE, I just don't understand how people don't just even care enough about their eyes to wear just even glasses, you know? And also the amount of times that I've seen someone that naturally needs glasses in terms of their eyesight has actually taken them off to grind or to do something like that because they're, oh, I don't know, they fog up or they're going to fall off. Really, like, it just doesn't even make any sense. But no, in terms of what the title said, it is the absolute classic. And really, even though your dad said wear PPE to you as a kid, I'm sure he probably wasn't wearing PPE. So it probably would have been a pretty mixed message from the start. You know, he's saying wear PPE, but I'm not going to wear it because I don't need it. And I don't need it now and I didn't need it then. Looking at the photo, I can only imagine that you've snapped it at a perfect time where there isn't just this perfect spark just flying right up at his face, because you can just see the amount of sparks coming off whatever he's doing. And even though he is using the angle grinder in the correct way in terms of the majority of the sparks going away from them, really whenever you're doing metal, it just goes everywhere. There is no two ways about it. And so one, it's just eventually definitely going to come flying straight into your head. There is no two ways about it. And really, I can only imagine that in his entire lifetime, if this is definitely looks like a workshop, he has got so many pieces of metal in his eye. And as well as it just kind of being annoying in terms of people going, oh, there's something in my eye, I'm trying to get it out. Really, I don't feel as though people actually fully know the extent of it. You know, where they actually ask you if you go for an MRI, do you work with metals? Because the metal in the back of your eyeball, if you don't wear glasses and goggles, can actually get sucked to the front of your eye and cause you blindness. Like, there was just no two ways about it, as well as just kind of generally scratching your eye. There are so many bad things in terms of just eyes. And so, like I said, obviously the entire thing is important, from hearing protection because it's grinding, it's going to be loud, to, I don't even know, I guess if you're welding you might need a breathing apparatus and people don't use that, to eye protection, to long sleeves and gloves. There are so many different ways just to make it so much easier for you so you don't have to worry about anything. I mean, I guess in saying that, these people just kind of don't worry about it. They just go, oh, she'll be right. But when you think about it, it is just such a random kind of mentality to have. It's like, why would you want to actually just put yourself in more danger? It doesn't even make sense to me. I mean, I guess that's exactly what this entire sub is about, isn't it? And so look, I guess once again, I just have to come back to the fact that this can be an educational sub. If you think about it correctly, you know, you take this as an example of what not to do, and then from there you just go, hang on a second, so he's not wearing earmuffs? Okay, I'm going to wear earmuffs. He's not wearing eye protection? I'm going to wear eye protection. He's not wearing gloves and long sleeves, and the list goes on from there. You just do everything that this guy isn't doing, besides actually just doing a little piece of work. And so look, I don't know how well it would go over, but if you were able to kind of catch him in a moment where he's not doing anything but his hands are full, you can just kind of quickly whack a pair of glasses on him or whack a pair of earmuffs on him, and then at least from there it just gives you a perfect bouncing off point where you just have to deliver his line straight back at him and going, well, wear your PPE, you know, I just gave it to you, and is that easy? And has it harmed you yet? Well, no. Well, there you go. And so now finally for the top of the month for OSHA, we have, I don't think this is how you should handle asbestos. Oh wow, that is one of the worst ones I've seen. Look at that white stuff is asbestos. Do not disturb it. If you need to remove some, soak it with water first, then bag it and put it in the dumpster. That is in no way the right place to be putting it, but thanks, all call hazmat. Just kidding. Oh my goodness, the fact that they have even put on their all call hazmat. Oh, just kidding, you know, like it is such an undercut and random thing to be doing. It doesn't make any sense, but look how thick that asbestos is. I mean, in saying that, I really have no idea why the asbestos needs to be that thick, or just in there in general, because generally asbestos was used as a fireproofing material, or if nothing else, an insulating material. And so really with a pipe that big, I can only assume that it would be just kind of a water main, so it doesn't really make sense. So I certainly hope that this pipe has been decommissioned, because if it needed asbestos in the first place and now it doesn't really have any because it's just been chipped and fallen away over time, I certainly don't want to be kind of finding out what is inside it. But no, that is absolutely crazy. If you need to remove some, soak it with water first, then bag it up and put it in the dumpster. I mean, I guess it is kind of the correct way, because even though there are a couple of methods to kind of deal with asbestos, at the same time I'm fairly sure that one of the commonly used methods is to kind of just soak it up, or at least just kind of have a mist of water and just kind of spray it down, just keeping all of those fibers saturated so they can't just kind of float off into the air and go into your lungs, because that is where the real damage is. Because it's not like asbestos is radioactive or anything. It doesn't just give off particles just by being around them. It does, but it doesn't, not in the same kind of sense. And so if you don't disturb it, it's fine. I mean, I guess that is exactly why they said do not disturb it, but in terms of just needing to remove some, there is definitely ways to go about it. You know, we don't just have asbestos lingering everywhere. It gets removed quite often, but definitely not just by anyone. You know, people that have gone through plenty of training, you know, maybe they'll even be called hazmat, so to say. So to be honest, this one I just find downright scary, because because if that is the kind of person or people that you were dealing with, then that I just don't want to be anywhere near them, really, because regardless of the environment that you were obviously working in terms of just being around asbestos, which is clearly a dangerous environment, but then for them to so blatantly just disregard safety in every single sense of the word, it just does not make sense, or does not make me feel too good about being anywhere near this thing. So in saying that, I can certainly agree with everyone that this is definitely a top of the month kind of post, because oh man, the fact I just can't get over the fact that that is so thick on a pipe, because every single other one so far, besides maybe the electrical one, but I can understand why generally people do what they do in terms of either it be for an efficiency sense or just downright just a money thing, but it just does not make sense to me, or I just can't figure out why this would even need to be a thing. And that is just, well, like always, that is just the scariest thing when you don't know what something is, it just scares you. But anyway, that is going to do it for the top of the month for OSHA, so thank you for watching. If you did enjoy the video, feel free to do the YouTube algorithmic things down below. Other than that, we check out awesome posts all over Reddit, so make sure you check some of the other videos out now, or hey, maybe you even just want to consider subscribing so you don't miss another one of these in the future. But all in all, have a good one and see ya.